All right, welcome to the Card Diary by Hobbyist Thompson. I'm your host, Danny Cards, and this is going to be episode 89. We are barreling towards 100, and today, very special guest who I want here to talk about card art and card shows. It has been a long time in the making because this is an individual that I have admired for a long time. I've met in person at big shows. I've met him. We've talked so much on the phone, and I consider him one of my I don't think I've ever said this to you, Tommy, but one of my closest card friends because I think we are we're very like kindred spirits. I think in and out of the hobby. So I want to welcome to the podcast the Card Carver, Tommy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. And I appreciate it. I consider you a good friend too.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about how we first met. Um, because I kind of mentioned it before I pressed record, but it's a name that I haven't mentioned in a long time. I haven't heard mentioned by many folks, but I will give credit and thank this gentleman, this individual, for in a way kind of linking our paths together, and that is Rob, the sports card therapist. I don't even know if he still listens to sports card content anymore. I don't know if anyone in the Wolfpack listens to this podcast, but he had this game almost like pardon the interruption, where it was like points based, right? If we had like good points and stuff, and he kind of put a mishmash of people, and from different walks of life in the hobby, and you and I were in the same uh game show or panel or what have you, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's funny because I had not thought about that in a long time.
Man, I haven't either, but I was like, man, I haven't had Tommy on this podcast yet, and we've talked about card art. I mean, the avid listeners of this podcast know that I've teased and talked about finally doing a chapter and a series on card artists. I have still yet to put up any of my actual like carvings or like using the X-Acto knife, but I think I've shown you like kind of over like FaceTime or video, and I've shown some other folks in the car community like my very crude, shoddy art or not penmanship but knifemanship. And I gotta say, I it makes me everything I do in the hobby where I just try something new. It really makes me appreciate and admire the people who do it really well because I just get a sense like, wow, this is truly difficult.
Yeah, I appreciate it, first of all. And if you're making stuff and you want to make stuff, you should just do that. Keep on making it because you're just gonna get better. The cards that I was making in the beginning, don't look like the ones that I make today. And that's
Mm.
kind of how it works if you stick with something.
So the easiest cut to me is when you try to cut out a border of something, like let's say a prism. One of my favorite things. It seems very simple, but it also execution is really hard. Is you take an old player and then you try to put them in a new ultra modern background. So the classic example it would be like, and I have this from multiple card artists. It's like an old school Jordan pose from an old school vintage. The kid's called '90s card vintage, which still makes me kind of like, you know, uh, make me feel so old. But they
Yeah.
take a Jordan card, a cheap Jordan card, like a dollar Jordan card, and then they will carve out the like Panini Prism to make a Panini Prism Jordan card. And cutting out the border to me is pretty, no pun intended, straightforward because you're
Yeah.
just making a straight line down. But when you have to get into the nooks and crannies of a athlete's not just head, but the body, the arms, the elbows, the legs, the knees, the joints, the fingers, and you're carving out cardboard, which is what you do, right? The card carver, you're carving cardboard or chromium finished cards. It is that part is so difficult.
It is, and be honest with you, doing the straight lines, even for me, sometimes isn't the easiest part. Just making sure that you get it completely straight and
Mm.
getting rid of all the color. Because if you have a border, this thin border around the card that is just like a shiny silver chrome, for example, and
Hmm.
then the image is dark inside, you have to make sure that you remove every bit of that dark color so that you don't have like just this tiny little bit showing, because you know, and get
Ah.
so to do that and to get it completely even all the way around the card, and to also at the points where those two, all those lines when they come together in the corner,
Hmm.
getting into the corner and keeping that like square without going past like the lines at all is can be really difficult. And if you zoom in on cards that people make, like when card artists post them, the guys that cut them, that's something that I always look for is, you know, what do the corners look like? It's just where my eyes are drawn, and it takes a lot of precision to get into there. And you got to really mess with it a little bit sometimes to get all the paper out of it so that the eye can't like catch it.
Mm.
So, I
Almost
mean,
like like a you want like gem mint
well,
card card
I do, man.
carving.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I always strive for. I do try to not let myself obsess over it too much and remind myself that it is handmade, it is art. It's not
Mhm.
going to be a PSA 10 or gem mint, you know. It's okay if it's not exactly perfect, but I do strive for it, you know, and
Yeah, no,
I think,
absolutely.
you know, every
Yeah,
time.
strive for perfection, right? Absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal or that's the aim. And like any good anyone who's skilled in their like craft or profession, you just want to get better and you just want to really deliver for your I don't know if you call them clients or consumers or buyers. Like what do you guys in the card art world, like what do you I know some of you take commission, some of you don't. Like how do you refer to the end buyer?
Buyers.
Buyers.
Buyers,
Okay.
customers, but I mean also, you know, people evolve from customers into friends. I've got good relationships with a lot of people that purchase my art, you know. And I mean, kind of at this point, you kind of hope for people to, you know, become friends, because it's awesome to meet people that are also collectors, because I'm not just an artist, I'm also a collector. And it's
Hmm.
always nice to meet like-minded people, and I always appreciate people that, you know, enjoy my art and even reach out to me to buy my work. You know, it's humbling. So it's cool to see those relationships evolve.
No, absolutely. And you know what's interesting is soon after that appearance that we both had, because it was really close to National and Rosemont in 2023. Um, one thing I really admired is I just had this idea, which I still haven't executed, which I feel really bad about, but it is a parody or a skit idea. And I think it was actually better that I didn't do it then because I feel like my cap cut skills and my editing skills and my just concentration is so much better and stronger now. And I do plan to make it really soon. But having said that, um, I had, in a way, commissioned or asked you if you could pull off a particular, which I won't divulge here because I want it to still be like a surprise on Instagram. But I had asked for your help in creating a certain card of someone, and you were able to do that, and you executed it really well. And it's just that I have yet to execute it on my end yet, but, that it was impressive to me that you did that, and then I have some card carvings of yours, but I also I guess before I get to kinda like, uh, your collecting and your art and all that is your son I actually commissioned your son to create a card, a piece for my son, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was so stunning and, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh, that's kind of you. Yeah, that was really fun. You were there's only been one other person that requested something from Paxton, and it's because he saw your video from, you know, the
Uh,
national with him. Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I in preparation for this, I should have brought out the card, but actually it's with my son, so
that's cool.
I'm not gonna, like, go up there and just wake him up, be like, "Hey, look, let me get this card." But, he's a huge Celtics fan, even though we live in the DC area, and I just commissioned, your son to do something with a little kinda again, I love this whole, like, modern and retro and all that stuff, but, he was able to execute on, my son's favorite basketball player, Jason Tatum, and add just kind of like old flair to it, and just it's fantastic. I'll have to post it up again, but I did post it up on Instagram a while back. Again, I just feel like with content consumption and content creation, it's like people forget what you did like literally the day before. It's
Yeah,
always about the next thing.
for
But
sure.
it was really sweet. It was really awesome, and I thank you for that, and I look forward to kind of like just seeing how he grows as an artist, and again, just it seems like it's like this is like a part of your bond with him, right? Just sports, art. Like I know, I don't know how much we should talk about this, but like you mentioned how, we tried to record a podcast earlier, but you had obligations with sports, with his sports and all that,
Yeah.
right?
So Um, I've got three kids. My daughter Lennox is 10, and then my middle child is Paxton, and he is 14, and my oldest is in high school. He's a senior this year. So he had soccer tonight. Paxton, who'd made the card, um, he kind of grew out of doing trading cards and stuff, which is okay because he still is like, he's very creative. He's very, hands on with everything. He has a dirt bike. He's always working on the dirt bike. As soon as he
Mm,
got it, he took all the plastics off and replaced the plastics on them. He's taking his stuff apart and painting it himself, and you
mhm,
know, painting on his skateboard because he also is really into skateboarding. So he's into more of like dirt biking and skateboarding and stuff, which is cool. You figure out who you are along the way.
mhm. So you're saying once Topps Chrome comes out with Topps Chrome BMX or
Yeah,
Topps Chrome X Tony Hawk, right? Kind of like a collab.
yeah. I mean, probably would be more dirt biking. I think that he got this really nice dirt bike and he wants to start riding it like at the speedway and maybe start getting
Oh,
into racing on like the
ooh.
dirt tracks and stuff. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it's that's I wish him well with that. And yeah, art, the card art is just but one of many mediums, right? I mean, there's so many different types of art out there. It's so amazing. I know there's tobacco cards and there's tall boy cards, but going to the standard 2.5 inch by 3.5 inch piece of cardboard, you and your colleagues or your brethren are able to just do some masterful things. One thing that I noticed people doing that I found kind of intriguing is um, the people who will have these things in their bathrooms will know, but like it's called shadow boxes, right? Where it's like I have like some friends who have in their bathrooms like shadow boxes of either like cards or family pictures or just something where there's like a three-dimensional depth to something, because you are able to kind of like, I guess, what, like use a filler card to kind of like make things kind of look a little bit 3D.
Yeah, so I mean, my cards are all made out of other trading cards. So I do use something to build it up. The way I build the shadow box is by cutting out the edges or the borders of a whole bunch of cards, and then I glue them, I stack them up to
Mm.
create that shadow box effect. And then I build the card, from there.
No, that's really cool. But yeah, you guys are really impressive with all of that. So, you have also, I guess, I want to talk about this is whether it is like one, I don't know how many millimeters. I know how the length and width is, but I don't know the thickness. I know we call it like 35 point and like, 140 point and all that stuff, 130 point. But you have had your cards authenticated and slabbed by PSA, BGS. Well, I shouldn't say all of them because I don't know all of them, but um have
The three big ones, PSA and, well, I guess not SGC yet, but as far as I know, they don't really do art, but
uh CGC.
PSA, BGS, and CGC.
No, that's awesome. Many
So three
congrats
of
to you.
the big four, I guess. I guess there's four big ones, right?
Yeah, SEC. Well, yeah, I mean, now that they're like a not a subsidiary, but they're under
The
the umbrella
collector
or the wing of
universe, right?
PSA, right? So yeah, but yeah, you're right. I've seen other artists have things slabbed by one or two or three of those other companies you just mentioned, but I have not seen a single tuxedo on a card artist's work. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and most of the other guys too. I've been lucky enough to get the companies to put my name on them. A lot of
Yeah.
the I haven't seen anybody else besides Luke the cardist. And I mean, if you start getting above, I mean, Luke, has his stuff in tops now, and
Mm,
pretty much it's me and then all the guys that work with tops,
yeah.
which is pretty wild to me. And it's been a couple of years now that, since Beckett started doing my stuff, and I'm surprised no one else has, figured it out along the way. But while that's the case, I've been trying to do as much fun and unique stuff as I can with my autograph, like some of the cards that you saw, that have my autograph, and then other artists' autographs, or Walter Payton, or the piece of Abraham Lincoln's handwriting. So the
Yeah.
Beckett slab says authentic Abraham Lincoln handwriting and Card Carver autographed. Stuff like that. Just trying to keep on moving.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I remember seeing that at Culture Collision. Just you had some amazing pieces, not just of yours, but from other artists that you were helping to either move or to help display and kind of like educate, people who walk by. And it was really amazing because I know there's this culture of the flip and the transactions where to some people they don't really care about cardboard, they just care about the profits or they just care about the business side of the hobby. But you had quite a number of people walk up to the table knowing that, it's card art, and they would stop and admire it and talk about it. And like, I remember just striking up conversations with people walking by because those people who walked by and stayed wanted to talk about card art and they admired the artwork for what it was and not just, well, can I flip this for, 10% margin or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. And it's nice to engage with those people that are really interested in the work, and once they notice what it really is. And there are so many people, like you're saying, the people just looking for something to flip. I hope and I'm sure that some of those people are also people that have their eye out for something particular for their collection. Because I'm kind of the same way. I walk by tables and look at them the same way I see lots of people walk by my table. I'm mostly into vintage, so when I walk around a show, I see a lot of tables with a lot of shiny, modern cards that I don't really have any interest in. So I just
Mhm.
keep it moving. Take
Right.
my look, and I'm like, all right,
Right.
keep going.
I don't know, like, when we're talking about what we're gonna talk about tonight before pressing record, I didn't mention this name, but I just feel like I would be remiss because you are the first card artist to be on this podcast. Which again, thank you so much for doing that. But
No, I appreciate it. I'm honored to be the first one. It's awesome.
no, absolutely. But I have to talk about this individual because they have just lit the card art world on fire, and people are flipping his pieces. And I don't even know how many of those folks admire it or appreciate it for what it is. But I think you know the name I'm about to say, which is Piggy Banks. We have this. I haven't even posted my one Piggy Banks card yet, and I have people somehow knowing I have it, which I don't even know how, it's a little bit freaky, but they'll just come out and DM me being like, "Yo, bro, are you gonna, I heard you got a piggy bank, you're gonna sell it." And I'm like, it's in my request folder. I have no clue who these people are. And
Yeah,
I see the names of accounts on Instagram with piggy bank, it's like, I'm sure these are real people and they're not bots and that they maybe just be genuine collectors. But I see names like Piggy Banks Collector, Piggy Banks underscore collector, Piggy Bank Collectors with a Z or something. It's like
yeah.
there's almost like a little cottage industry with his cards.
There is some really serious collectors, guys that are like passionate about these cards and the art. There's definitely a sector of them that are in it for flipping. As it catches on more within like the hobby, the more people and the more of the guys that are moving around and moving bigger items start to catch on to it, the more of them are going to start getting them and flipping them.
Yeah,
It's just kind of how it is. I guess it's the nature of things, but it's also just like anywhere else in the hobby where you can look and you'll see guys that are really in it because they love it. You
yeah,
know, I've had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of them actually, and interacting with them, and they're guys that are true collectors. A lot of them are into different pop culture, not necessarily guys that are just into sports. And Piggy Banks delivers a lot of that. So it makes sense. He's created a little world of exclusivity and rarity.
Yeah.
People wanting to chase these items, and it's pretty cool to see. And
Yeah.
it's in my opinion, it's great for the whole culture of the art cards, because which I mean,
Hmm.
he actually doesn't like them to even be called cards, which to me is fair also. I
Hmm.
don't the term card art, I don't know. I'm an artist, just calling me a card artist doesn't really nail it on the head.
Hmm.
That's not how I feel I'm defined.
Got it.
But I get it though. You know what I mean? It's also like the world that we're operating in. So I
I
don't know.
will try my best to adhere to that and call you.
Oh no, I'm not saying, it's just, it is what it is. And that's been kind of a battle with the authentication thing, trying to get them to get the
Mm,
labels right. Beckett the first time around you know, followed what I suggested and what I truly wanted, and put one of one art card on it, which at the time I was really happy with. And I like that much better than having it say custom card, which is what a bunch of them came back this summer at the National. I had a bunch of stuff slabbed and they all say custom card. One of them had a variation to it. There was just one for some reason where it was a little different too, which I was just interesting. Uh,
gotcha.
yeah, handing over all of my art to the grading companies is always like a weird moment, because there's so much time and effort put into those things, and sending them all. I hate putting them in the mail, sending like 10 of them
Mm,
at a time, putting all those hours into a box and trusting that it's not going to get lost or damaged or whatever. It can be pretty nerve wracking. I follow the tracking like more than I probably should.
You do you put those pieces into this like a penny sleeve in a rigid or like a different manner?
I ship them in one touches.
One touches.
I'd
Okay.
rather lose the money on the one, because they get all screwed up. Like the Beckett, they put tape on them. They're moving them around. I guess they'll send them back too, and I don't know why they bother. They should. There ought to be somewhere where it should just ask if you want them back or not. I don't
Wow.
mind. I don't mind taking the loss. They're what, a
Yeah.
couple bucks a piece. I buy them by the case.
Right.
Like the little, like 20 in a box or something.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
No,
but
that's
yeah, no. with
go ahead.
with the amount of time put into them, I want to make sure that they're shipped properly. So it's like I said, it's worth taking the loss on the one touches, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really cool. So, um, you went to the PSA registry dinner, this last national, the one I didn't go to, that was in Cleveland. Can you tell us about that and your involvement with that as an artist?
Yeah, so it's actually my second year in a row going to that, which is just, kind of mind blowing as a collector and someone. I've just been doing this art for like a few years now. My first national was Atlantic City, just a few years ago.
Mhm.
I decided I had to go at that point to try and get ahead. There's a lot of different card artists that were moving around. Just, I mean, there's even more now, but at that time, a lot of us were kind of neck and neckish, I would say, kind of at the same point. And I was like, what am I going to do to friggin' get ahead of everybody and
Yeah, differentiate.
take that
Right.
next step? I was like, I have to go to the national and get my name out more, and network, which, is one of my better skills. And it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Um, I can't believe they actually invited me. I couldn't even tell what registry I was in content like, I will say,
Yeah,
like,
how did you do that? You must know. Don't tell me you don't
I
know. Like,
no,
oh, it's just
I
like
genuinely, like,
they don't just invite everybody.
they right, I don't know why I was invited. I will say that every time I get a PSA slab, I there is a app called, PSA Set Registry or something like that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
for
looks
sure.
different, yeah.
I
So
just
I
started
will
that recently.
yeah, I scan I literally I don't even know how many cards I have here that are in my collection or whatever, but and so many of them are low end and like, like, they're not all dollar slabs, but they're like low end, and I'll scan them in. It's like a quick ad, and this is not a sponsored or affiliate with PSA, but I'll just go ahead and collect. Like I'll just do that. And I guess maybe it's one of those things where not enough people are doing it, or maybe there are a lot and I just don't know about it. But I just don't hear about it on Instagram. I don't hear about it a lot online. And I must have done something. I must have accidentally stumbled into a set, or from a content creation standpoint, they wanted me or they invited me there. But
Yeah.
I want to know what
I mean, yeah.
they. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I got sidetracked too. I started talking about the national and my first national. The whole reason I was talking about that is I went from that national in Atlantic City, just showing
Yep.
up, only knowing a handful of people, to the
Yep.
next year I was, at the PSA Registry Awards, and it's because I was commissioned to do artwork. The actual physical awards that they give out, I have a big slab. They're the same size as this one right here. This slab.
Mm,
um, they commission different artists to create new works of art, and there's the kind of like a Project 70 concept where they ask the registry winner, say you won an award for completing the 1958 baseball top set,
hmm
which is a hard set to complete, and you had all PSA 8s or above, so you won the award. They would reach out to you, congratulations, you've won this award. We'd like to present it to you at the dinner. What's your favorite card in the set? And then they provide that to the artist as like the reference card.
That's
and
so cool.
and the artists then do their own rendition of the card, like I said, kind of like a Project 70 or 2020, and then at the dinner that's what they hand out to the people that are present.
That
um
is so
yeah.
cool. So for the people on YouTube, they will have seen what you just showed, but can you describe what you just had in your hands, please? And
Yeah,
show it to the camera again?
yeah, for sure. So this is a large type 1 photograph, slab by PSA. It's Michael Jordan from the Nike campaign for the Johnny Kilroy commercials, which, for anybody that isn't maybe old enough to have remembered that when Jordan was retired, Nike had commercials kind of playing on what if Michael Jordan didn't actually retire from basketball and he's just playing for like different random
Mhm.
teams in different places all over the country and the world, in a disguise. So this is a original photograph of him from that video campaign, the commercials, that is
The
slabbed by PSA.
That is so cool. The young kids will only know of Uncle Drew and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
They will also know about back when they had that little commercial called like the LeBrons, where LeBron played like multiple, personalities in a family.
yeah.
But
They'll need,
Johnny Kilroy, I have a card, Upper Deck. I forget exactly, like, but he's got the goggles, he's got the hair.
yep.
Um,
Yeah, he's
another,
the slam dunk card. He's dunking
yeah,
in the photo. Yeah, it's a classic card.
another, kind of like cosplay. I remember, and I had this card, and I gifted it to my mailman because he's an awesome mailman. My United States Postal Service mail clerk, but he's a huge Deion Sanders fan, and Deion Sanders, I forget which commercial or which company, maybe it was Nike, but he put himself up as Leon Sandcastle, and and he just he ran like a 4.2 40 and all this stuff in like a like just looking like absolutely different, like ridiculous, looking ridiculous and like retro, kind of like kind of like mustache, like a handlebar mustache and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
um that's so cool. So you have a
I,
Johnny Kilroy type 1
Yeah,
photo in
and
your
I
hands.
have to say, thank you to my friend Stacy Wall, because this was gifted to me at this year's national, and I was completely blown away. He had a backpack that with maybe like 10 different slabs, and he was showing them to me. I was just looking at them, and I was kind of enamored with this particular image of him, with the towel over his head and kind of looking over. He almost looks like Bill Russell in the photo.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But just
yeah.
the look in his eye and him looking over was really cool to me. And he's like, "Oh, you like that one, Tom?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You can have it." And I was like, "You're kidding me." He actually took the photograph too for
Wow,
Nike for the
wow.
commercial. So really special item for my PC. One of those things that's just always gonna stay with me.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. So that was so that was this year, but then you were commissioned for last year.
And then, yeah,
Um
and then I was back this year too, doing the
so
same thing.
I have to, as my a little one of my many many shticks is calling myself the hungriest man in the hobby. I gotta know, how was the food this year and last year at that dinner? What did I miss?
So last year, I would say like you didn't miss a lot. It was more of hors d'oeuvres. It was at a bar, and unless maybe I missed the actual dinner, which I don't think is the case. You know, they were walking around with hors d'oeuvres that were really good, and you know, there's an open bar, really nice setting, good atmosphere. Last year was definitely good too, but this year was more of a really nice spread. There was a buffet, and you know, dining tables. You sat down, you walk in, it was really cool. You walk in and there's round tables with maybe 8 chairs to a table, 6 to 8, something like that, and places all set. And at each place there was a little box, so everybody goes in and sitting down, you know, you just, and it was all random seating. I happened to sit with Dan and Merlin, um, and we start opening the boxes, and there's Dominique Wilkins PSA slab cards in each box.
Mm,
And they're all like hand numbered. Some of them are autographed, and they
mm,
say PSA registry on, you know, like 2024 on them. Some were autographed and some weren't. And there were some people like at our table, there was one or two people that like open seats. So people, I actually think I swapped mine out because I got one that wasn't autographed. I was like, oh, well, there's nobody sitting here. So I switched it out and there was an autographed one. So I have an autographed one, which is, you know, awesome. But yeah, so the food was great. And they wound up, Dominique Wilkins wound up being there. And everybody got to meet him and get an autograph from him at the
oh,
end.
that's awesome.
I can't
So when you
remember.
said,
I can't remember exactly what the food was. There was like multiple options. I had some type of beef in like a um brisket, I think, with like a gravy that was very, very good. I'm like,
gotcha.
I'm kind of drooling thinking about it actually.
As I get older, my memory is definitely going, and it's kinda like, I could forget random things and important things, but my stomach, my gut has, like, the best memory, and I will always remember good meals, I'll remember bad meals too, but, I just feel like my stomach is, like, has the best memory out of my entire body more than my
Yeah.
brain, I think.
Yeah, I just think
Um
there was other things from that night. I think that my brain decided to lock in more. Just like
Yeah, yeah,
there's,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
The whole ambiance, the cards, the athletes, all that.
yeah,
Um, so let's talk about when we finally met in person, which is the Beckett party, in 2023. They did
yep,
not have one in 2024.
no,
I was not invited to that. I actually did crash it. I used an alias, kinda like, Johnny Kilroy and Leon Sandcastle, I guess.
yeah,
Um, I kinda went in there. So 2 things that, that I remember very vividly other than, like, the spread and the buffet,
the shrimp and the
yeah, the
shrimp,
shrimp,
the
the
shrimp,
huge ice sculpture with Beckett's logo,
yeah.
almost like, those swan ice sculptures, and just, it just, like, literally, I mean, I is it safe to say, like, 1,000 shrimp? I feel like there was, like,
I think
more than
so.
yeah, there was a ton of shrimp, and
Okay,
the
so
crazy thing was it was delicious, it was big. I mean, these were, jumbo shrimp, and, like, no one was eating it. And so I decided to just eat it, and then, of course, I just ended up eating too much of it. But, I people when I posted on an Instagram, people got so angry at me, and they were so, like, well, not everyone, but some people laughed and all that, but some people were just, like, so upset at, they're like, "This isn't about cards," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is my life. This is my hobby journey. This is I can't
yeah,
I can't believe I'm here and, like, just chilling and having a good time." So, as someone who, is not an industry insider, like, it was just kind of fun to just be in that ambiance and just talk with a lot of really cool people in the hobby, including yourself. So, you and you definitely ate some shrimp, but I just kept going. After you stopped, I just kept going.
yeah. I had to get going because I had the PSA dinner to go to also, but
Yeah.
I was invited to the Beckett dinner, and I really wanted to be there. Shout to Gianni, he's the marketing manager,
Mhm.
and he, you know, he hit me up and was like, "Hey, what's your address? I want to send you an invitation."
Mm.
And they sent me this. But that's what I just got up to grab. I keep this.
Oh,
I've
where's
got a
that?
case. I've got a case here that's full of. It's got a whole bunch of different stuff, cards and mementos and things that I have on display. And this is one of my prized possessions because going to that party at the National and going to the PSA dinner, was really like a moment for me as an
Yeah.
artist. Like, I kind of felt like, okay, like this is it. I've been not that this is it, but I've been working really hard for this moment, and like I'm really starting to move in the direction I've been trying to go.
Yeah. Can you describe what's in your hands for people listening on podcast
Yeah,
format?
so it's a Beckett slabbed invitation. This is how it was shipped to me. So there's a little card in here. It says, "Please help us celebrate our 39th birthday." And it says, "Save the," up top, it says, "Save the date, Beckett's birthday celebration, July 28th, 2023." And then there's a
Wow.
QR code on the back.
Don't no one scan it. Don't scan it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's too late. If I remember right, it was to RSVP. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That the natural extension to what you just said is that this year's what is or was Beckett's 40th anniversary, and they didn't do
Which is
anything.
interesting. I was thinking that as I was looking that because I
Oh,
was thinking that last year's was like with the party that they threw and the invitations they sent that it must have been kind of like a milestone year.
yeah.
And then I was looking at it as we were talking, I was like 39. That's weird.
I
Uh
am not going to throw any shade at Beckett's way, and I'm not a
no.
PSA fanboy. I will say, when it comes to those four major companies, from a resale standpoint, I just don't know how I can grade with the other three, including SGC. I know SGC's got a little bit quicker turnaround time, but like when it comes to those big four, it's just hard for me to kind of like why like, and I want Beckett to do well. Like Beckett, my
Same.
childhood Beckett magazine. Like I want them to do well. I just don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Having said that, just to pivot a little bit, because if we could talk about the food forever. Actually, let me talk about one more thing about the Beckett party, and then
Yeah.
we'll go into like the second tier or the next tier of grading companies and your artwork. But the second thing I remember is they, much like the PSA Dominique Wilkins thing you were talking about, they had a company almost like some of those like repacks or like basically like boxes with like a little magnetic enclosure. They
Yeah.
had random Pokemon slabbed in those slabbed up by Beckett and in those little cases, and definitely some people overserved themselves and wore a hat or shaved off their mustache. So they just pretended to have not gotten one. And I remember some people having literally like a dozen on their table, and they're just stacking them up.
No,
But
my God.
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember because
I will not tell people who they were. Your secrets are safe with me.
that's funny because
Your Yeah.
I remember that because I got one and I wanted to keep it for my daughter, but I had the PSA dinner to go to, and I didn't want to carry this Beckett thing with me. I was going straight to
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
PSA dinner, and I left that card with you, and you shipped it to me when I was
I did
home.
ship it to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I looked like the guy who was taking more than one. The one, what's crazy, I still remember it is I don't even know the Pokemon very well, but the Pokemon's name was Morpeko, and it was a black label. It was a perfect 10, 10, 10, 10, and I was just lucky. But some people were hunting for those black labels because
I'm sure they were.
they were told, "Hey, by the way, we have some black labels in here." So, some people were drinking and having a good time, and were like, "I want to have an even better time, and
Yeah.
I want to get one of those black labels." So, I'm lucky to have gotten one on my one try. But yeah, some people really made out like bandits, literal and figuratively, from that dinner party. But I was so glad, again, like these chance encounters. People sometimes, I think they don't believe me when I just say I just go where the wind takes me, but that the sports card therapist live stream that we were on together, the Beckett party, just seeing you again there, and then we did that this time definitely make a concerted effort to meet each other at Culture Collision. But like it's great that between the time of these events, which were like it's like seeing you once a year, but the relationship that we formed throughout the year, whether it's cheering each other on Instagram with likes and posts and comments, or having a phone call, and usually we're only supposed to talk for like 10 minutes, and we go on for an hour about just like our lives, right? It's just like
Yeah.
that's hard. That's like the bringing the digital social media parts of our lives into like like a real like friendship about like you and I, like, I'm rooting you on, not just as an artist, but as a collector, and like just seeing you grow and just, get cooler stuff is I think, it makes me just as happy if it was myself.
I appreciate it. It's been fun watching you grow too. Kind of been growing together.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about. Okay, I do want to talk about Culture Collision soon. We're already at the 40-minute mark, but I did say that I want to talk about these the next tier of grading. So have you like I would say out of the next tier graders, maybe Tag is one of the biggest ones. But have you tried asking the next tiers of grading companies to kind of slab your art pieces as well?
For sure. I just haven't really pushed it too much. I talked to Tag at the National this year, and they seemed really into it. And the guys that were at the booth, I don't remember their names, but the one guy that I talked to in particular seemed really chill. And um, I've got CGC already locked in. Arena Club,
Mhm.
I I actually am going to be receiving something tomorrow and revealing something with
Mm,
Arena Club over the weekend.
nice. I
Y-
did not know about that, and
Yeah, nobody knows.
congratulations.
Nobody knows about that.
I wonder how soon I'm gonna publish this episode. Maybe tonight. Maybe I'll do it tonight,
I
and
mean,
then
yeah,
it'll
you
be
could
the
grab that. You could drop that as a little clip or something too. Who
nice. I
knows?
like it. No,
Yeah,
I
Arena Club. I'm excited about this Arena Club thing. It's a big card. It is a
oh,
big
nice.
card. It's autographed by somebody.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I will say that as someone who has previously been sponsored by Arena Club, I wish them well. I don't know what our current I don't know what's the Facebook relationship people say, like it's complicated or whatever, but it's just more that I haven't done anything for them in a while. They haven't asked, I
yeah,
haven't asked. I'm looking forward to some other collaborations and partnerships with other companies, and because they have their hand in so many different things in the hobby, right? It's like showrooms, grading, slab packs, which is good. Like I actually admired that they were trying many different things, but it did kind of like make me like not restricted, but like kind of like hesitant to do things with other people in those different platforms or different aspects of the hobby. So, but I think that's fantastic. So, Tag, they make their they got pretty well recognized from the National and Burbank Card Show for doing those um custom I hope it's okay to call them custom, but like it
yeah,
was like the
yeah. Where you like
person's
they take your photo and they print it
portrait.
out. It's like an AI kind of like gives it like an effect, kind of cartoon effect to
Yeah,
it.
cartoony, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to do one with River. My oldest son comes with me to the national each year. The whole
Mhm.
family went last year for a bit
Yeah.
also, but River is the one that's really into cards.
Mhm.
And we actually never got around to it. It's funny, we will travel halfway across the country together and he goes off and does his thing.
Yeah.
The only time I really see him at the shows, we might run into each other. Or this year, we hung out a lot in the Ludex VIP lounge, which was a really good experience and nice to have because we're out on the floor. We could go down anytime we want to and just chill on on a nice, comfortable couch. And there's
Mhm.
drinks and it's air conditioned. I think that we wound up spending too much time just sitting though, because you get down there and it's really comfortable and there's people coming and going. And I literally there was a couple times where like one of the days where I was down there for 2-3 hours. I'm like, oh crap, where did the time go?
Yeah. Well,
It's
air
still
conditioning is
productive.
really important. Yeah.
It's still productive, to a degree. But whatever.
Air conditioning is really important. I
It
remember the
is.
Ludex Lounge last year was a huge reprieve from the hotness that was the show floor in Rosemont.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't like they had like open bar and buffet, but they had food and drink. Um, they almost like a artist alley, right? And it was like there was like Chuck, Lauren Taylor, uh, Andy Friedman. Like I don't know what Luke, the card artist. Like there was a bunch of you, like kind of like there, right?
Yeah. Yvonne Beslick, Lauren Taylor. Did you say Lauren?
Yeah, yeah.
Marley McFly, Ken
Yeah.
Carl.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we were all in there. And then we went from that, to this year. We did the same. I shouldn't say the same thing. I organized another artist activation, and this time we had a wall with all of our logos printed on the wall, and we had easels with our cards presented on the easels. Um, Jordan Spector brought this like pedestal thing that stood,
Mm,
with a card displayed on it. It was a card that me and him did a collaboration on, which was a really cool experience. And me and him are going to be doing more stuff, and which is really awesome because he's been doing some exciting things with athletes and doing, the
yeah,
exclusive deals with them and stuff. And he's got some cool ones coming up. And he says he wants me to do a 1-on-1 for, every drop, which is great.
nice.
Yeah.
He is someone I recently got to know more on Instagram. Like it's not like he and I DM. Don't worry, you're still my favorite artist, Tommy. But he doesn't do just cards, right? He does like jerseys. He does like large canvas print
Jerseys, yeah,
paintings.
big paintings. Yeah, his
Big.
cards are printed off of like photos of his original paintings,
Ah,
which is
okay.
the same thing as Andy Friedman. That's how all his cards are, except that well, I shouldn't say that. Andy does some digital work, but Andy's sets with tops are actually printed off the images of his original paintings, which are
I see.
done. Andy's paintings are done on a card sized piece of like cardstock or whatever. It's not cardstock, it's canvas.
Mhm.
But that's how he does it. He's painting very small in watercolor and ink.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow. No, that's really cool.
which is cool
It
because Andy's original paintings are like technically a card, I guess. Like
mhm.
they fit in a card case, which is awesome.
I don't wanna ruffle too many feathers and get too controversial, but I did wanna ask because you use that word digital, and sometimes I just latch onto a particular word or phrase that my guest says, and I just wanna just talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit more, but is there any sort of, like, I don't know if you call it, like, stigma, but is there some sort of, um like, is it frowned upon? Like, can you talk about the digital work versus card kinda like, X-Acto knife work versus, watercolor or, like, some sort of, like, paintbrush work? Like, how does the digital because it seems like so much is becoming digital and AI and all this stuff, but also Piggy Banks, like, it seems like his work is all digital as well, right? But, I'm just kinda curious as to what the card community kinda as a whole thinks about that.
I'm not really sure how everyone else looks at it. When I first started out cutting cards up, kind of had a mindset of like digital was kind of whack and not maybe not as good as mine. I don't know if that's exactly what I thought, but I definitely thought less of the digital work.
Mhm,
Over time, I've come to, respect all of it. Some of the stuff that guys do is, some of it looks like very basic and you can tell that it didn't take a whole lot of effort. So I mean, when anytime you look at something like that, you're gonna, kind of feel differently about it than something that you can tell is like true craftsmanship. You know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm.
Um, but I mean, I do digital stuff. I love to do digital work. It's fun to do different mashups and the tobacco cards that I create and I print out and I cut them all by hand and put them together.
Yeah.
Still a fun process. It's a different process than cutting cards up and doing like a collage style with shadow boxes and stuff. But it's
Mhm.
still it's still art.
That's what I one of the many things I really admire about you when you and I talk, it's kinda like, candidly, we talk about, like fatherhood, we talk about collecting, and I do wanna eventually talk about Billy Klaus and what he and all of that and your PC. But it's this ability to, like, learn, like you just said, you previously thought it was whack, but now you do it and you like it and you love it, and it's like this ability to kind of adjust your mindset, be flexible, mentally flexible or emotionally mature to be like, you know what? I did think this one way, but now I do feel a different way. And it's not someone kind of being like two-faced. It's more of like your way of thinking has evolved or has changed for the better to be more accepting. And I think that's really incredible of you.
I appreciate it, man. I think that we all try to grow as people. That is part of life. If you don't grow, I think you're gonna struggle. So I try to grow as much as I can, and if I see an area where I can do better, I try.
Well said. Having said that, I don't think everyone's trying to grow.
No,
I've
no,
seen the
no, no. I
I
know.
see.
I've seen it. You see it over time. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I'm growing. You know, I've been married. Actually, tomorrow's my anniversary. It'll be
Oh,
16 years
wow,
I've been married.
wow! Happy
So
early anniversary.
thank you. You know, I've been through a lot of different stages of my life and seen a lot of people come in and out of my life. And I've seen people get left behind because they are the type of individuals that don't grow. They just kind of land into place and are either satisfied or, you know, just don't have the ambition to strive for more. And I'm the type of person that doesn't have time for that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'll try to uplift people too, you know,
Mhm.
but you can only do that so much also, to where, you know, you got to let people go where they're going to go.
Exactly. Yeah, like kind of like how you're talking about how you were uplifting. I mean, you didn't use those words, but like you were rallying the troops. You were trying to get people together to do the wall thing. You're like someone who brings people together. I try to do that as well. So kudos for you for doing that. But also just kind of like the whole concept of someone being able to not just the mental flexibility. What was I was just about to say it, it was on the tip of my tongue, but your ability to grow, I think, is it's so important because there's this you see it in like movies like Goodwill Hunting, or it's a classic movie concept or like a life concept. The boys from back home being like, oh man, you too good for us, you grew, you're not like how you used to be. And supposedly that's supposed to make the protagonist or the hero of the story or yourself, it's supposed to make you feel bad. Oh no, like I changed, dude, you changed. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, you know what, I did change for the
Yeah.
better, I
We're
grew.
supposed to. We're
You're
supposed
supposed
to.
to change. And it's like, used as this way of dissing people, like, when someone made it out of a bad place, people are like, man, you're not the same guy. And it's like, yeah, I actually don't have that closed mindset and mentality
Yeah.
anymore.
So you say thank you. Thank you.
Right? Thank you.
I'm glad you noticed.
Right? Yeah, Goodwill Hunting had to leave that apartment, and Ben Affleck had to knock on that door and not have him be there. I mean, it was a good thing for him to leave,
Yeah.
supposedly. So, man, I feel like we could talk forever, but yeah, I just want to kind of say that because yeah, when we talk, it's about like just life stuff, and kind of like this conversation we're having right now is almost an extension of us just having a phone call.
Yeah,
I think.
basically. Basically.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to talk about I have in my notes here, I want to talk about the giveaway that we tried to do at Culture Collision, but then also wrapper cards. So before we get to the giveaway thing, tell me about this next, I don't want to say the next chapter or the next venture because it's concurrently with what you're currently doing, but wrapper cards.
Rapper cards, it is what it sounds like. Officially licensed trading cards with rappers. They're exclusive deals. So, you know, once we have them locked in, we're the only ones that can make their cards for a certain amount of years, generally. Um, and we're doing cards with autographs, cards with relics, you know, different things. We currently have cards with pieces of rappers' rhyme books, you know, with their handwritten
Oh,
lyrics in the cards, which is super cool and hasn't ever been done before. We're working on, you know, cards in the future, also having pieces of other things, you know, maybe event worn items, you know, pieces of albums and so on. You know, it's almost limitless, and we have some really big drops coming up that we're announcing just in the next couple weeks. Our biggest drop to date. They've never really done much with numbered cards, as far as I know, really just like a few times. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with variations, numbered cards, sketch cards. I've been talking to a lot of different artists that do stuff for tops, you know, the Marvel and Star Wars guys. You know, so it's going to be very art driven with me at the helm, I guess is a good way to put it. You know, I think that's going to what's helped this product be really unique and stand out moving forward. It's going to be something that's never been done before, with it being so art focused and, you know, a music pop culture thing like rap. And rap fans are big fans, and many of them are collectors. I think most people that are into music or passionate about music are a collector, maybe whether they realize it or not. It was a lot easier to be that way when you all your music was on CDs or something physical like vinyl or a cassette, because you were collecting those things. You had a rack on your wall for all your cassettes or your
Oh yeah.
CDs, whatever it was. Even if you weren't into cards or comics or something like that, you were collecting those items. I know I collected them. So with people having that type of connection, they're going to want the trading cards. Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of person with a collector's gene, this idea that you must gather, hoard, whatever you want to call it. But yes, I
Yeah.
was that person who collected the CD tower, the cassette tapes, and like my family didn't have a lot of money, so it was like the mini tower or whatever, right? But there are some people who, yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
And
genetically
it,
coded in us.
yeah, for sure. For some of us, I think it really is. And these musicians, these rappers, and it's not just rappers, it's all the elements of hip hop. We're going to have DJs, we have producers, we're going to get graffiti artists, break dancers, all the different elements of hip hop. But people want to feel a connection to these artists and these people the same way that they want to be connected to to athletes, their favorite
Yeah,
players. And that's why a lot of people collect, because they want to have that connection, or they just love to collect Kobe Bryant or whoever it was they watched when they're kids, Steph Curry, LeBron. They want to have that connection. So the same thing with music. I see it all the time. I know me, like I see cards come out, or I see certain MCs and rappers. I'm like, oh man, I'd love to have a card of so and so. Having their autograph would be great. And if you want their autograph, better way to have an autograph than on a card?
right. So I know you're a very humble and modest guy, but I gotta say, this is your time to name drop. So if you want to start getting some people's juices flowing about this idea, can you drop some names for the audience?
For artists, what names for
Rapper.
what people we have signed?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Currently
yeah,
signed.
yeah. We currently have Rome Streets. We have Conway the Machine. A lot of these guys are underground rappers. Where if you aren't really into hip hop, you might not know their names, but they're big names. That sell a lot of albums and have really really good fans. It's not always just about album sales. It's also about having a good fan base, because there's
Yeah,
plenty of guys that are very successful that you people maybe haven't heard of. It's like that in any kind of genre of music, really.
right.
You have people that sell out on the road and sell all kinds of merch, that'll never be on the radio, maybe. Um,
Gotcha.
you know, so we also have Talib Kweli. We have Project
That
Pat.
name. Yeah.
We have Rascas. Trying to think of some other bigger names. I mean, we've got Terminology. We have Sky Zoo, Static Selecta. Yeah, there's a lot of names. We have over 100 rappers signed.
Wow, I didn't know it
Yeah,
was that many.
yeah,
Talib Kweli is definitely the name that comes off that I can recognize immediately the most.
yeah. He's a very recognizable name.
Music is definitely the one award ceremony, like Grammys versus like the Oscars or the Emmys. It makes me feel the oldest because I didn't know there were so many little babies
Yeah,
in music. There's so many
yeah,
little someone or baby someone, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but
yeah,
it's okay because it's just music is something that I mean, my favorite rappers of all time. I mean, when it was all the whole Tupac Biggie, even though I was on the East Coast, I was such a Tupac guy. And people think still to this day, even though I have vlogs come out about me being in the DC area, people keep saying that I have like, oh, you're from California, like you give off a West Coast vibe. That's just because I don't know, maybe I'm happier. I look like I'm happy, and yet people on the East Coast are supposed to be like angry all the time. I don't know. But Eminem was a huge. I mean, high school it was just nonstop Eminem. So Tupac and Eminem are like my two most favorite, I guess, rappers. And my area has Wale, and I mean, just but I mean, these are. I guess I'm too mainstream with my rap listening because I don't know the underground scene, but I wish you luck. I think it's fantastic that you have this, and I'm sure there are some big names that you guys want to continue to pursue and get
yeah.
under contract.
Yeah, there are. We're talking to people right now. We have one name that we're going to be announcing in a couple weeks. That's one of the greatest MCs of all time. That everybody knows his name. Even if you don't really know rap, you probably know this name. And
I'm
I know you'll hear it and you'll be like, oh damn.
Oh, I mean, no, straight up. When you say, I don't want to say the name, and I don't want to get in trouble because I'm sure there's all sort of like logistical and exclusive things that you can't talk about. But when I think about that phrase, greatest MC of all time, like I have one, maybe two names that come off the head. I may not even ask you offline or off the record because you may not be able to divulge anything, which I respect. But I will say, I look forward to seeing that drop. Uh, can I ask you, when it comes to rapper cards, and I know this answer, but I want you to share it with the audience. What is your position or role with it?
Vice president. I which is really just kind of a label that is like, what are we going to call this role? Because my role is really kind of hard to define exactly. I'm more of a creative director and like a visionary sort of. You know, my job so far has varied from designing to planning. A really big release, something that they haven't done before, networking with artists and influencers, ambassadors, coordinating those types of things, um, you know, developing new products. It's a lot. So it's really hard to define. So vice president for now, I'm sure it's gonna, as we grow, it's definitely going to evolve. I think it's probably going to evolve into a different title, sooner than later. But
Nice.
but that's the title for now.
Very cool. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm glad we talked about that. I'm looking at my show notes, and I feel like we've touched on basically everything. And so we're over the hour mark, and I wanted to keep it under an hour. I had a hunch that we weren't going to be able to, but I
Yeah.
do want to try to end it as sooner than later. I want to get us out on maybe one, maybe two things, but the only thing that's on my list is something that we talked about beforehand, and it's the Piggy Banx giveaway that we tried to do in Culture
Mm.
Collision. So I want to set the scene a little bit, and then you'll kind of provide some additional information and what we should do. So you and I, by the way, you crushed it with the art. Tommy made the art for the badges for vendors. It was one for the VIPs. It was another. What am I missing? Like you,
Sponsors. The third one was the sponsors.
yeah. Can you
Yep.
explain? What was it like? Jason. There was a Mickey Mouse. Like you have a lot of like, what is it? Death motifs or like kind of gory image. Like I love it. I think it's cool. But like, can you explain it a little bit for people?
Yeah, well, so it was Friday the 13th was the first day of the show. So that's kind of where we went with that theme. The kind of like horror theme. And Jason was like the first thought. Oh, and so that's kind of where the other cards, the whole thing kind of fell in line to. The first card was kind of a comic book design, like a comic book cover and front and back that I did with Jason playing football with
Yeah.
the number 13 black jersey on. And what was the other one? We did, I called it Mamba Mouse. Yeah, there's the VIP badge. Yep. There it
Mamba
is.
Mouse.
Yep. And then I did Mamba Mouse, which was Mickey Mouse like slam dunking, and he was kind of pulling his eyeball out of his head
Yeah.
to use for the ball to dunk. And then what was the third card was really kind of more of a really culture collision themed card where the background was sneakers, and then I had an image of Jordan instead of the Bulls. It said culture collision, and he was all dripped out with gold chains, and I put all of his rings on one of his hands, off white sneakers, and very sneaker culture ish.
Yeah.
And I put the what has kind of come to be like the Carver skull head that I started using, which was like a Spike Lee from the old Nike commercials
Oh,
with the hat
okay.
flipped up and it says
Yeah, yeah,
Carver
yeah.
across it. So I put that over Jordan's face also. And the other really cool thing was that Monster was a sponsor for Culture Collision. So those cards also had the Monster logo on it. Yeah, it's just a really cool thing for me to get to do. Shout to Raphael and to to Joyce for having me down to Culture Collision.
Yeah.
2 shows in a row. I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to the
that
next
that's
one.
he's referring to Prism God and Prism Goddess. I think them as well. I really enjoyed being a show ambassador and just running content and just having a great time there and just feeling the love, the vibes, the community, the culture. It was all awesome, and you helped make that because a little behind the scenes. We tried to cut this podcast before Culture Collision, but we just weren't able to make it work. But I'm so glad that we did end up linking up and talking about this. And uh, before we get to the giveaway thing, I should have had you sign my thing. I didn't have a Sharpie on me, but you actually did have people ask you to
Yeah.
sign their badges.
I was gonna say you should just ask me at the booth. I had like 4 or 5 different markers.
Well, be I wanna briefly mention how you and I, when we get together and we're just hanging out, we, like, really hang out, like, I don't put the camera on us, and nothing against it, because like, I love vlogging and I love kinda, like, showing people what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
when you and I just hang out, we just hang out. Like even that dinner we had, I remember I took some pictures of the food, but like, you know, I have no pictures of you and me doing the selfie thing for Instagram. Like I did a photo dump of other people, and I'm like, I don't have a single one with Tommy because we just end up just like chilling. We don't
Yeah.
like do it for the gram.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about that catfish and those friggin' crab cakes were
Oh my
wicked good.
gosh,
That fried catfish I had was so good too. Man,
dude, that place! Shout out to Copeland's in Atlanta.
Oakland's.
Just
I will go
so
back there. I will go
Oh
back
man,
there.
we're
The
we're
next
running
time,
it
next
back.
time
We're
I'm there,
running it
I'm
back.
going
Yeah,
there.
we're Culture Collision January 2025. We are running it back. You're gonna be doing the card art. If they'll have me do the content and all that and ambassador stuff, I would love to do it. I had so much fun, but that dinner, we like, the crazy thing is, and you and I both know this, it was so affordable. It wasn't like balling it up and like living it up and like just kind of like having this super expensive bill at the end. It was like delicious New Orleans cuisine that was very affordable.
It was. It was the bomb.
So, so that dinner is also when we talked about, kind of like how to do the giveaway, or maybe we already had announced it, but we're trying to figure out how to like execute. So the reason I thought it might be good for us to talk about this is a little behind the scenes and also kind of like an explanation because there was no ill intent. Like straight up,
Yeah.
I'm bad personally at doing giveaways. Like I had this YouTube giveaway that I literally thought that I could look up people when they subscribed and I could do a little, give run a randomizer, and then YouTube Studio does not allow me, like it doesn't update. The only names I could see are from like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So I feel frozen. Having said that, we had an idea of giving away. Well, you tell please tell the audience what we were planning to give away.
We're gonna give away the Lincoln Park Piggy Banks piece that just came out the past few weeks. Yeah.
I love the play of you and I are dads, just the dad puns. So this is Lincoln Park, which is the band, but it's Link space in space park, meaning
Yeah.
it's the adventures of Zelda, like the adventures of Link, Zelda, like Link, the green hat uh protagonist from Nintendo, and he is sitting on a bench in a park.
He is. He is. It's a
It's
really cool card. I forget which
it's
which
beautiful.
which variant I got, but it is a shiny, pretty one, kind of like the rest of them. But yeah, it's a really cool card, and we were going to give it away, um, doing a scavenger hunt.
So our scavenger hunt, and I think this is where it's classic Denny overthinking and trying to get too cute with something and getting too creative or too out there. But the scavenger hunt that we were trying to do was basically like, I was like, what if we had um some sort of like I don't even know, it's so silly, but like we wanted to make it a little challenging but not too challenging, right? Like we wanted to make it achievable. So
Yeah,
you
because
had
we were doing it on we were doing it on the last day of the show to hopefully create a little bit more excitement for the last day for people. Because in
right,
general, the last day of a show on a Sunday is going to
right.
be the slower of the days.
Yes.
If a show is a 3 day show, Fridays, little busy. And then you expect Saturday to be kind of booming, and
The big
Sunday
one, yeah.
is gonna be your slowest day, you know,
Right.
usually.
So, should we even divulge what the 3 steps were gonna be, or should we save it for the next time?
I
Because
mean, we should just save it for the next time. I mean,
yeah,
not that it, I don't think that we need to do that. I think that it's fine. I mean, we were going to give away a card. If for people to be mad that it
free,
didn't
right,
wind up working out,
exactly.
if that's how some people feel, so be it. I'm
Well,
still
as
going to
we
the card's still going to be given away.
yes,
It's in my possession. It's nothing nefarious. It's just that
right,
our plan involved a third party who wound up not showing up to the show on Sunday.
right,
And we waited and waited. And by the time we found out they weren't going to come, and with them being a key piece to the clues,
yes,
it just didn't make sense at that point because it was at the point at the end of the day where, you know, some dealers were starting to pack up and go,
right,
so and it would have been too easy at that point if this person arrived, and it would have
yes.
probably been like one or two people that actually had a chance, and that's was not the point of the giveaway.
Yes, we wanted as much participation and equal participation. So having said that, we will run this giveaway at some point. Whether I'm involved or not, I don't know because
Yeah.
I keep seeming to like mess up these giveaways. But I no ill intent, but as we know in the internet, there's conspiracy theories and people just wearing the tinfoil hats, getting super upset about everything. But I will say for this one, it was a fun, good idea. Just the execution. I mean, again, I think we were ready to execute each step. It was just more of we had too many moving parts, so to speak, and moving people for it to all kind of like work out. It had to like be like the perfect storm. It had to be like perfect conditions, to like run to run it. But having said that, I did want to apologize to anyone who was excited for that giveaway. I mean, this card is amazing, and again, the secondary market or whatever you want to call it, the underground market for Piggy Banks is just on fire. But this is going to be given away by Tommy, the card carver, and I'm just excited to see who wins it. I straight up, I want to be in contention. I want to try to win it in a
I'm inclined
randomizer.
to, yeah, I'm inclined to just do it on, probably on Instagram. That's going to
Yeah.
get the biggest impact and the most people
Yes.
involved, and run it on a randomizer, which will probably end up being a lot of work because probably be a
Yeah.
lot of people that are going to drop their name on that.
Oh yeah, no, I ran a giveaway at Culture Collision for a VIP and like a vendor table that ended up being over, um, I forget, like 30 people, which was manageable. But I did one with Arena Club. It was my first actual real giveaway. We gave away like a $500 Michael Jordan card, and I had over 200 people. And we're talking about like again, I don't want to put a price tag on it, but we are literally talking about like a four figure, like low four figure. Anything Piggy Banks is like a low four figure card at the very least. So this
Yeah.
card is going to be given away, and hopefully the person who wins it won't just try to like flip it. But of course, once they get it, they can do whatever they want with it. But we're talking like legit stakes. We're not talking about a giveaway of like a base card, like
Yeah.
one of Denny's base card giveaways. We're talking about a big boy giveaway. So I again, if I win it, people will be super angry. But if it's a randomizer, hey, I get a same
Yeah.
chance as anyone else.
I want to randomize it.
Yeah,
I think we'll have to do that. We'll do it
yeah,
sometime maybe in the next few weeks or something like that.
yes,
Maybe
yes.
sooner. We'll see.
So, let me get you out on you just kind of dropping your
Yeah.
socials and all that. I'm gonna put it in the show notes and all that, but please go ahead and let's get you out on that.
Find me everywhere. The Card Carver. If you just search Card Carver, you're gonna find me. I should pop right up. That's across all social platforms. I'm most active on Instagram. If you want to get a hold of me, that's really the best place to reach me. I also have a website, thecardcarver.com, that I do. I've been trying to update that more with product, but I sell a lot of my stuff through Instagram. I post my cards, and they generally don't take too long to sell. So that's how I rock.
Yeah.
You,
Can I share though with you, as someone who has searched for your name? I think the is integral for the searching of your
is it?
name.
Is it?
Yeah, I have to put in THECA and then you kind of auto
And then it comes
populate.
up. Yeah.
But if I just put in CARDCA and then like I try to search, it'll give me like other cardboard, like
Yeah.
card
Well,
names. So
interesting. I wonder if you type it all out. You might have to type it all out.
Gotcha. Yeah. But
I don't
the
know though, but I'll keep that
no
in mind.
periods.
The card carver.
Yeah, no periods, no underscores, none of that. Just one, so to speak, word, the Card Carver on Instagram, the main way you can find him. If you find him and you like this episode, please drop him a note. My guests have loved when people do that. Please drop me a note. Please leave a comment in the YouTube. I'm trying to get better with this stuff, Tommy. I always forget to like promote. Like I don't do the, I'm trying to get better with like the please like, subscribe, comment, all that. I'm just trying to get better with YouTube, but most important thing is we had a great chat. This again was like us just kind of being on the phone, just talking. But thank you so much for being such a great part of the hobby. Your artwork, your positivity, your funness, you and your genuineness. You like again, people. I get to see the funny, silly side of you that you don't show so much because I know the art. Like you have a brand, but like I get to know the real Tommy, and you are just like a genuinely fun, great hang, good dude. And so, thank you for all of that.
I appreciate it, man. And same to you. Let's do something too. Maybe the for people that are watching this, the first 5 people that shoot me a message on Instagram and mention this podcast will get a package from me. It'll be a Culture Collision exclusive trading card that I designed.
Can we also give them extra entries to the Piggy Banks? Like, you know how like on Fanatics Fest they had like, if you're a VIP, you got 10 extra tickets into the give not the giveaway, but like the 10 extra entries into getting the Cactus Jack box or whatever it was. Can
Sure.
we? Can
First
we?
five. First five.
First five. How many extra entries should we give them?
I don't know. I don't want to make it too complicated. Who's keeping track of these, Denny?
Probably me. Yeah.
I already got
This
to
is
send
me
the packages.
overcomplicating things.
I already got to send the packages. Come on.
That's true. Or instead, in lieu of packages, okay, I'll make it easy. If you have listened to the end of this podcast or YouTube video and you want to DM me or put in the comments, if you got to be one of the first five, what if we give them what, 5 extra entries into the Piggy Banks thing?
Sure.
Maybe not 10, but five extra
Five.
entries,
Five's
and
good.
and
Yeah.
I'll like I'll help with that. Maybe I won't go for the piggy bank. I won't put my name in the running. I'll just try to run support, and just to I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is all we're just riffing. We're just
We'll
like,
figure it out. We'll figure it
yeah.
out.
Yeah, but no, reach out to Tommy, reach out to me. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you for watching on YouTube or listening on podcast. Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. Overcast is another one that I heard about. But I mean, we're like an hour and 17 into this. But Tommy, this was so much fun. Thank you so much, and let's not go too long before you're on this again the next time.
I appreciate it, man. It was a blast. Thanks for
All right,
having me.
take care.
Late.